Bring it on. Want some, get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate.
You have to go with the Pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything.
It's a pirate's life for me.
Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're Pirates.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I don't think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
We will get to Omaha. I can promise you that.
Red and purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Yeah. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome into the Sports Objective. It's Extra Innings as we start season number 7. And the man that's been with me every step of the way, all the way from LaGrange, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Barber, how are you, man?
Oh, what's going on, Dave? Yeah, pseudo extra innings tonight. We were hoping to have Paul Hill joining us, former ECU baseball player, DH Conley coach, and former North Carolina Wesleyan player.
National champion.
But he had other engagements. Yeah, I won a national championship there. He had other engagements tonight, but he should be with us next week. So tonight it's just me and Dave as we look back on the weekend that was for ECU baseball, and we'll also talk about Pirate basketball, who picked up a big win. Actually, you had 2 big wins since we joined you last. We 16-point win over Charlotte Saturday, and then the home win, pulling off the upset against UAB midweek. So a lot to talk about, and some little bit of football news to talk about too.
Absolutely, we are proud to be a part of you. Season number 7, hard to believe, Kyle. We've been full time with you for baseball since 2019. And so a lot of good teams, a lot of players coming and going. And one thing I've got to give you credit for, Kyle, not the only thing, but one of the things you always say about football that I'm going to remind our fans is we went 2-1 this weekend. And one of the things about this team is they're going to grow as the season goes on. And so they may start off a little bit slower than you're used to, but don't get in the panic room, the Pirate panic room. Support these guys. Keep going out there. We had over 4,400 people on Friday for the doubleheader. So that was a great, I don't know the numbers for yesterday, but we'll break down those games. If you have questions or comments.
I don't think 4,400 people were really there.
No, I know.
It looked like
it was like 4,419 is what they listed the attendance. So
yeah,
it's and everything. So you know how that goes.
I don't know how anybody could be just game one, wasn't the best performance, but I don't know how anybody can be disappointed with the weekend overall. 2-1 with as young as this baseball team is. Right. It was to get up in a weekend to win like we did Saturday, to come from behind, win it with a walk-off home run. I mean, that builds confidence. That builds, shows you're never out of a game. You saw some characteristics of East Carolina baseball with 2-out hitting. So, one weekend, 2-1 on the weekend, I'll take it. It's a much tougher week coming up midweek against Campbell. Of course, Campbell has struggled this weekend. They're playing out west, and I believe they went 0-3 this weekend. I got to fly all the way back to play a game Tuesday night in Boise Creek. But Campbell midweek, and then you got Carolina next weekend for a cold series. Cold weather's going to kind of be firmly entrenched. It'll be interesting to see with the snow and ice that's going to. It's game one Friday. I think game one's in Greenville, right? Friday,
right, and then Saturday at DBAP at Durham Bowl.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the snow and ice that's forecast, particularly for the Raleigh-Durham area, how that's going to affect things for Saturday and Sunday, because it's not going to all melt after Thursday before Saturday and Sunday get here. Of course, there'll be plenty of time to clear the fields, but big week ahead. But we need to kind of recap this weekend first. Dave.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, that, like you said, the that first game, if you go back to that with my notes here, Pirates lose 7-3. In fact, you know, 4 of those runs, Kyle, were off of 2 home runs, and so I'm not making excuses for the Pirates. You know, with
home runs and errors kind of was the story of game one. Not the best baseball to be played. You know, gave up some long balls, and then obviously the errors, which got to fix that. And he played better defensively as the weekend went on. It was game one, but that was kind of the story of game one. Got down big and cut into the lead a little bit late in the game, but couldn't make up the deficit.
Yeah, and by the way, here's the stats. Here's some numbers for you, Kyle. 23 and 24, we beat George Washington and Ryder. We swept them, and this weekend we've had 2 out of 3. So the last 3 years for opening series we're 8-1. So we can throw a lot of stats at you, and certainly, again, I haven't heard anybody panicking. I just after that first game, I said,
"Oh, there's no reason to panic. We're 2-1. I mean,
right.
I think expectations this year are down a little, as they should be, because we're young. But the expectation is still to win the conference, and I didn't see anything in week one, that makes me think we can't do that. But we lose game one Friday night. Kind of want to focus more on Saturday or game two, and then really focus on the Saturday game. But game two, Pirates get down again, but find a way to win it.
Yeah, in fact, D'Lo, he secured the win and struck out 2 while walking 4. Just a great thing. And how about the one of the heroes for the game, Colby Wallace? He hit that home run in the bottom of the 3rd, if you remember, and that was big for the Pirates. So for sure, I tell you what. And by the way, if you're wondering about, get this, Kyle, here's another stat that stood out to me. The ECU pitching staff held George Mason to a 140 team batting average in the 3-game set, while just allowing 3 combined hits in the second and third contest. So, yeah, you started off, like you said, the first game is not, you never know how that's going to be. We were a little shaky. However, look how we played games 2 and 3. That's what you want to look for. And, Kyle, going into Tuesday's game is always hard at Campbell at Jim Perry Stadium. But like you said, the Camels struggled.
Yeah, but let's talk before we get on to Campbell. Let's talk a little bit more about game 2. We had 8 hits in game 2. Scored 4 runs on 8 hits. That's good baseball. That's 4 runs on 8 hits. That's kind of what you want. I guess 8 runs on 8 hits would be even better. But 4 runs on 8 hits. The last little over 5 innings, we held them scoreless. So kind of the second half of that ball game against Mason in game 2, we kind of dominated it. Then you move into game 3 on Saturday. Again, we fall behind early, and just played a really good baseball game. The freshman Jenkins, 17-year-old. There's not like Cliff said after the game, or I heard it at some point, he's younger than a lot of the guys in the recruiting class now that are going to sign at the end of this year.
Only 17 years old. It's crazy.
17 years old, yeah. A lot of juniors in high school were 17 years old.
Right.
So had a hell of a game. Gave up some runs early, stayed poised. And just a really well-played ball game, back and forth. The crowd was into it. We got some big hits. Alex, help me out with his last name. Dave, you with me?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I had to cough earlier, and I didn't want to cough while you were talking. But it's Alex Peltier, Boucher. Which one did you?
Peltier. Well, both of them had a big day, but Peltier, had some key hits in game 2 and game 3, and then Boucher, how do you say his last name? Alex Bosch. Is it Bosch or
Boucher,
I'm not quite sure how you pronounce this last name.
It's like Bobby Boucher, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, Alex Boucher. He had a multiple hit game in Game 3 on Saturday, and obviously, the walk off home run in the top of the ninth that barely cleared the wall, but it cleared it. It counted, and that was the game winner. Also, pivotal play in the eighth, the strike him out, throw him out double play, which really sent the crowd kind of in a frenzy. And we already had momentum, and that carried over. Really enjoyed Saturday's game. Watching it on ESPN Plus. I'm sure at the stadium it was an even better environment, but uh, really pleased to see us battle back like that, take the series 2-1, and to win it in walk-off fashion when you do have such a young baseball team. I think again it gives us a lot of it gives you a lot of confidence. And Cliff moving into the dugout, that's another thing that
I was going to ask you
needs to
about.
kind of be talked about. Cliff normally coaches third, and he's got Palumbo coaching third, and Cliff's in the dugout. I guess kind of Dave. I'm assuming it's because of probably not a lot of older guys in the in the clubhouse this year, and need that leadership in the clubhouse, and so Cliff's there to provide that and make sure the guys stay locked in. I'm guessing that's why he's doing that. I haven't asked him. I haven't heard an interview, but I'm assuming that's why. And Palumbo's coaching third, and I remember there was a key point in the game Saturday where I thought Palumbo should have sent him from third, the base runner, and he held him up. And Coach Overton said it was the right call to hold him up. So Coach O knows a lot more about baseball than I do. So Palumbo, Cliff trusts him to do that, and I think Palumbo has aspirations to be a head coach at some point. So I think it's going to give him an opportunity to kind of show what he can do as an old the field manager there, coaching third.
No doubt, and Coach, you're right on the money. I think what Cliff Godwin has gotten better at as he's aged, as far as being a manager, a coach is concerned, is he's very good at not being stubborn. What I mean by that is there's some coaches, it doesn't matter what sport, they're so tunnel focused. Or you could say, like, if you go to work out at a gym and you've got a trainer, and I'm not knocking on trainers, but there's some trainers that they only have one routine for everyone. They may be a great athlete, but they don't understand how to break it down and to fit your needs. And I think Coach Godwin has gotten really good at knowing, just like what you said, it's like he knows that Coach Palumbo is doing a fantastic job, has been for many years, like 11, I think season 11 maybe. So we know Coach Palumbo has got a lot of talent. He's the recruiting coordinator. Yes, Coach Godwin plays a big role in recruiting, but Coach Palumbo is the point person on recruiting. So if you're wondering why we've had a lot of success, a lot of you know that follow this program, how special Jeff Palumbo is. And so, yes, you move him to third, you go to the dugout, and maybe this gives him another thing I was thinking about, Kyle, it's like being in a room. It gives you a different perspective, right? Instead of being always there, he's allowing Palumbo to move to third. He plays in fact, that walk-off, the stolen base, wasn't that Dixon Williams when he stole third and Coach couldn't coach, and so he was at third. Coach, they sent a signal for Dixon to steal home. He got it. So I have no issues with Jeff Palumbo whatsoever. Personally or professionally, he's a great dude. And so I'm really happy with that move. And it's not like, what in the world is he thinking? Coach Godwin obviously knows more than I'll ever know. By the way, speaking of Coach Godwin, I want to add a point. You were talking about Coach O. Coach Godwin is now 28 wins from tying Coach O as the winningest coach at ECU history. 29 wins at the 29th win, 29 more wins this year. And Coach Godwin will break that record. And we know how much we think of Coach O and, of course, for Coach Godwin, but that's just a testament to certainly how great of coach he's been for ECU baseball, his alma mater.
Yeah, well, Coach Godwin better break the record this year. He'll be very disappointed in himself. I don't mean that better as in from my standpoint, but the standard is here to make regionals every year, and I'm sure he plans on breaking that and then some. Coach, the next win, which will hopefully be Tuesday night in Boys Creek against Campbell, a place where we tend to struggle, will be Coach Godwin's 400th win. So a milestone to be had, hopefully Tuesday night, is Coach Godwin picks up win number 400. Some other notes for the weekend: Alex Poiter, Alex Boucher, Alston, and Irby all registered their. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing anybody's name. All registered their first career home runs.
right?
Career home runs in Pirate uniforms. Yeah, big weekend for those guys. Getting the bats going, showing that we can go yard, even with these young guys. So you have multiple home runs on the weekend, and I know particularly after game one, that was and in the scrimmages, that was the worry about the bats early in the year, and only put up 4 runs in both wins, but we were. We took advantage of opportunities we had. We didn't leave a lot of runners stranded, et cetera. Like I said, in game 3, 4 runs on 8 hits. Or it was game 2 or game 3. It was 4 runs on 8 hits. That's pretty good baseball.
No doubt. And let's take some questions and comments. Hello to Hayda Justin. What's up, guys? He says. In fact, he says that Dixon had a hell of a weekend. He says we're young, but we'll grow.
Yeah. We hadn't mentioned him, but he did. Dixon, a guy that has some experience. I believe he's a Greenville native, and
yes, DH.
So yeah, Dixon Williams did have a very good weekend. We have not mentioned him, but he was very productive.
And he said, "Let me start on the officiating. He thought it was horrible." It's Justin. You have more experience at calling balls and strikes and being umpire than I do, so I'll definitely take your word. I thought, it's the same old thing. I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, a broken record, but the strike zone just drives me absolutely crazy. Like, you're supposed to wonder what the strike zone is. I'm not being critical because I realize that when that ball's coming at 90 plus miles an hour, it's very difficult to see. Like, I'm just amazed at them getting it more right than wrong, but I'll do that. He also said Jenkins will be good. He says he just hopes that
no doubt
keep him around. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah. 17 years old. And then, hey, how about JR? Look at this, Kyle. He says, how about Pruitt retiring 10 batters, 9 of them by strikeout? JR, Johnny Robertson. He says we're too kind to him on the air, but when I see him in person, but JR is one of the best, and we're lucky and blessed to have him as a fan. And he is, when you say diehard, he is right up there with Pirate fans I know that really follow this program very closely. So, and then the other thing is Jackson DiLorenzo is the first pitcher to have 2 wins on opening weekend since Ryan Williams in 2014, who also was the last player to wear number 23. Of course, Cliff Godwin will wear that number until we go to Omaha. And so I hope it's this year. You never know. It's funny. We always have like these predictions, and just like with basketball, I'm glad I was wrong. They're starting to really get fired up. We'll talk about that later in the show, even though it is extra innings. We want to touch on that and some football as well. And let's see. Justice says he'll give the umps a pass first game back there in a while also. But as far as
your audio is cutting out bad right now, Dave.
I don't know what it is.
So you might want to repeat that and see if we can maybe understand you.
Okay. My end. I was saying that I was just talking about Justin was saying I'll give the umps a pass first game back there in a while also.
Yeah. No, I know. Umpiring, it wasn't perfect. Balls and strikes. They had a couple of replays. I think they got both calls right on the replays.
Yep.
So it was what it was. I didn't think anything cost. We won 2 out of 3. There was no call in game 1 that cost us the ball game. So it was what it was.
He said it was tough. He caught hell on Friday in his doubleheader. Justin, I know is it junior college? Help me out, Justin. Division 2?
I believe he's calling junior college ball, if I remember right.
I think so. I think that's right. But anyway, he's expert on that, not us. But certainly with a naked eye, it's really, really frustrating. Again, I hope that, I don't want to go to robots, but man, at some point you just wonder behind the plate. Yeah, it is JUCO. That is correct. With balls and strikes, that's the biggest thing for me is I think they get most of the calls in the field correct. But as far as the balls and strikes, I know that's the hardest one, but the umpire behind the plate. But anyway, Justin, thank you Johnny. Thank you for joining the show. If you have a question or comment, put it in the comment section on YouTube or Facebook. We're broadcasting live. We do it every Sunday night. We call it Extra Innings. And PGX Gloves, Kyle, is back with us. So we're glad to talk to Mark Minikazi. He's back with us this year.
All right.
So very happy to have him back. And we'll talk about him a few times during the show. But appreciate, in fact, I've got to order Alex, my son, is going to be playing middle school baseball and our local Williamston Youth Baseball League. And he always rocks those PGX gloves every single year. Justin's going to be over at Pitt next weekend. So if you're Pitt community, the college, the Bulldogs, if you have any complaints, send all the mail to Justin Butts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he does a great job. That's going to be interesting, Kyle, is when Justin makes his debut at East Carolina. I'm going to have to, he's a friend. I'm going to have to give him a little bit of slack, a little bit. I don't know about a lot, but that'll be great when he's able to do that. I'm sure that's.
If Justin works his way all the way up to Division I umpiring, I bet you he won't be calling any East Carolina games.
He'll say, "I'm not."
Pretty sure they won't allow that.
Well, no, they do with with Wilson Rayner, a former baseball and football player at East Carolina. So I'm sure Justin did well. But I agree. I would not want to call my alma mater when we know how much. Yeah. And in fact, he just said that Wilson Rayner does. Yeah. Justin can. Will he is a question. I'm sure he would. But it's a lot of pressure, man. Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine. But anyway, definitely looking forward to this show. Oh, he says he will not be doing East Carolina. Okay. Don't blame me, Justin. Don't blame me at all. That is rough. Can you imagine throwing Cliff Godwin out of a game? When you're your ECU guy, that would be, brutal, as our friend Matt Semenza would say. So anyway, we're going to take your questions and comments. If you have about the previous season, previous series, I should say. It's season 7 of Extra Innings right here on the Sports Objective. And Kyle, I know with the fans, the Carolina game we were just talking about, Campbell is Tuesday at 5:00 at Jim Perry Stadium, his first pitch. Obviously, they're down in Bowie's Creek, as we always do. Carolina is going to be interesting to see how that's an interesting series, as we always have. Friday night will be East Carolina there at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Then you have Saturday night will be at the DBAP, Durham Bulls Athletic Park, and Sunday is in Chapel Hill at Boshamer Stadium. So very cool. Okay, let's see. He said Cliff's dad coached my dad high school basketball at Green Central. How about that? I did know that.
Yeah, and I would advise everybody next weekend bring your jackets. Greenville, Chapel Hill, Durham. It's gonna be a cold weekend for the battle with Carolina, and it's always fun. I know this year expectations are a little higher, at least going into the season for North Carolina than they are us. But we always have our own expectations, and last year we took the series from the Tar Heels. Hopefully we can do it again this year. But we'll see. First things first is Campbell, and we hadn't had a lot of luck in Boys Creek recently. But again, they struggled mightily this weekend. I believe maybe they were playing UC Santa Barbara, somebody out in California, and they went over 3 for the weekend. And I do not believe any of those 3 games were close. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Sometimes teams are good midweek and struggle on the weekend. Sometimes vice versa. But that's a long trip back to then play a midweek game on Tuesday.
Yeah,
but it is home. And
you were right. They were playing UC Santa Barbara, who is ranked, by the way, 22nd this week. 0-3 is there. So they're coming in.
You're breaking up again, Dave.
I don't know. My signal's perfect on mine. I don't know what's wrong. But anyway,
your audio is horrible, brother.
Can you hear me?
Might want to leave and come back.
All right, keep talking. I'll come right back.
Dave's going to try to get his audio fixed. He's going to leave and come back. In the meantime, I'll just ramble aimlessly. But, again, Tuesday night down at Boys Creek against the Campbell Camels. This is one we need to get. We haven't had a lot of luck down there recently, but they struggled this weekend against a good UC Santa Barbara program. But a long trip back from California, and then they got to turn around and play a game in, at this point, less than 48 hours. So a chance for Coach to get his 400th win down at Campbell, and we'll welcome Dave back into the show.
Yeah. Justin says he can hear me fine. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you still breaking up. It sounds horrible.
Yeah, they're saying they can hear me fine. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, maybe it's just my end. Okay, if everybody else can hear him fine, maybe it's just my end. But my audio is good, so that's odd.
Yeah, there's different ones. Okay, so anyway, let's focus on. We were talking about this week. Obviously, real proud of the Pirates 2-1, and then they're going to Bowie's Creek. We talked about Carolina, and we saw that Bowie's Creek. I'll check. Does anybody know how did Carolina do this week?
No idea. That's a good question.
I'll look at that up.
Yeah, but I'm assuming they took care of the weekend. I'm sure they opened up with a patsy.
Well, they played Texas Tech and they won all 3 games.
Okay, forget I said anything about a patsy. A sweep over Texas Tech. That's pretty salty. So we're gonna have our hands full next weekend with the Tar Heels. So yeah, time to these boys better grow up in a hurry. And you know what? Win or lose, you want to win the series, and that's my expectation. But playing a series like this early is only going to make you better.
By the way, let's go back to the Carolina series. We told you about Campbell being 5 o'clock on Tuesday, and I said correctly 5 o'clock on.
Dave, I don't know if everybody else can hear you fine, but I'm not getting a word you're saying, dude.
Yeah, everybody's saying they can hear me, so I don't know. They were saying that 5 o'clock on Friday night for ECU, Carolina's at ECU. Saturday is at 12:30. So if you're going to DBAP, that's going to be, you need to leave Greenville or the area, wherever you are, early to get to that. I thought it was a Saturday night game, but it's Saturday at 12:30, which makes sense this time of year. And then
thank God.
And then Sunday is at 1 o'clock at Boschmer Stadium. So
yeah, no television or streaming video for Saturday from the Durham Bulls Athletic Park.
Is that because, help me out, guys? Isn't that
radio only?
Isn't that because of the minor league rules? Off the top of my head, when we had that trouble with Campbell in the past, am I wrong on that? Somebody help me out on that. But it seems like I remember something about minor league stuff. I don't know.
Dave, I think I'm hearing your question. You're asking if because of minor league rules. I don't know that it's because of minor league rules. I don't know. I don't know the reasons behind that. I know it could just be their setups. I know when we played out in Kannapolis at the Cannonball Stadium a couple years ago, we had streaming for that. There's been some minor league parks that we've had it and some that we haven't. I'm not sure what the reasons are behind it, but we don't have it this weekend. And I was looking at our schedule, and as of right now, we play 2 games in Fayetteville, one against Wilmington and one against Garner-Webb. And I don't believe either one of those games are going to have streaming or television. So we're going to run into that to in a few games this year.
Well, that's
against Wilmington, and against Tar Heels, that really sucks. I get that these minor league ballparks are buying these games, and it's a financial gain for ECU and Carolina, Wilmington, but and a lot of people are going to go, but those of us that aren't going to go, it sucks that there's no streaming or television when you're playing the Tar Heels and later on in the season Wilmington. Obviously, 2 huge rivals.
No doubt, and so basically 2 games this week. We won't have any two games this week.
Campbell does have Flow Sports. If you have a subscription to that, or you can subscribe or individually just for that game. So there will be streaming for Campbell through Flow Sports. And then ESPN Plus for Friday against UNC, and then Sunday will be ACC Network Plus, which is the same damn thing through the ESPN app.
Right.
So so only one game this week with no television or streaming. But that's one too many, in my opinion, in 2025.
Yeah, we've come a long way, certainly from baseball days. It used to be just a few basketball and a few baseball games televised to where we're very spoiled now. And ESPN Plus, wow.
Well, it's been, we've had pretty much every baseball game going back to the all access days, at least home games available to us. Good God dang, going all the way back like '07 maybe. But I remember for a long time, I'm sure, a long time followers of Pirate Baseball can remember going back to like '07 to all access days with the one hard camera.
Yeah.
And you could barely see out in the outfield if the ball was going. You'd have to kind of rely on the play-by-play call. But yeah, certainly have came a long way with baseball video coverage over the years, particularly now with ESPN Plus. And I saw people complaining yesterday about the audio because with the women's basketball game, softball, there's a lot going on at ECU yesterday, and they were using the radio feed over top of the ESPN Plus video feed, and people were complaining about the audio quality, et cetera. I'm like, man, I was like, it wasn't that many years ago we would have killed just to have multiple camera angles. So and people complain about anything. I actually thought the audio quality was pretty decent for it to be the radio feed over the video. And don't know who that was doing play by play yesterday with Coach O. I thought he was fine. I don't know if he's going to be our regular radio voice for the year or what, but I thought he did an okay job.
Yeah, I mean, and you going back to that, the audio I had. We have a 75-inch TV at our new venture. It's called the Snack Shack. We'll talk about that at the very end of the show. But I was watching the game yesterday, and on the Vizio TV that we have, it sounded perfect. I couldn't tell, and I'm Kyle, that I'm sometimes can be critical about things, but especially when it's radio or audio stuff. But for me, the video stuff was perfect. I could hear the commentary just fine. So I don't know. Sometimes also it can be internet. There's a lot of factors in there on our end. So I have to give them a pass on that because sometimes
It was fine. I didn't have any problems with it on I did notice the audio was a little lower during the game versus we didn't have advertisement, but the little breakaway screen with the music, the audio during the game was a little lower, but it was fine. And I get, do you know the play-by-play voice for the weekend? What his name was?
I heard his
For
name
the radio network. Okay.
Yeah, I heard his name only once. Maybe somebody can help me. I was busy working, but as far as I was watching the game, but as far as I heard his name, I heard Coach O say his name one time. So please, if you can bail me out, guys. And another thing is we're going to have to find a baseball announcer. We're going to have a lot of people just pitching in. I guess no fun, but pitch hitting. I guess pitch announcing is what it be called this year. So
well, it seems to me that our broadcast, I don't know if it's the fault of the athletic department or if it's the fault of who's our bullshit media company that we work with.
Playfly.
Yeah, Playfly. I don't know whose fault it is, but we don't have, and I like oh God, our play-by-play football voice, Dave.
Jim Zoki.
Yeah, I like Zoki.
And Darren
but he's not, we don't have a voice. Zoki's a Carolina Panthers employee who just does football games, and now we don't have a baseball voice. There's, you can't replace Jeff Charles, but you ought to try. So it's kind of getting stupid to me at this point when you have a different announcer now for multiple. We have multiple announcers for baseball. We have a different announcer for football, different announcer for basketball. It would be nice to have a voice, somebody you identify with East Carolina athletics, and that's something we need to get back to. I don't know if that's on the athletic department, if that's on Playfly, but they need to get that problem solved. And I'd have no problem with Zoki if he wanted to move to Greenville and be the voice and do it all. I think he'd be good. He's got a great voice. He can certainly call football well. I'm sure he can call basketball and baseball too. But, he doesn't want to. So I think it's time we move on and find a voice of the Pirates for all sports. And I'll get off that soapbox, Dave. But we're going to have to talk about basketball, a little about football. But before we do that, we need to get our PGX Glove Player of the Week and Pitcher of the Week in first.
Yeah, I want to get for those of you that are listening and watching now, Put in the comments your PGX pitcher of the week and player of the week. We'd like for y'all to. I want to get your thoughts on it. So let's see. John White says Dylan Johnson.
All right.
He's I beg your pardon. He's doing all the games announced last week.
I was about to say I didn't even know who the hell that was.
Like, okay.
So Dylan Johnson's going to be our play-by-play. Okay, I thought he was fine. Okay, well then I'll take back a little bit of what I said, but still we have a different guy for every sport. But yeah, I thought he did a okay job this weekend, so I have no problem with him doing baseball this year.
Yeah, we've had way worse. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, Paul Hill, who'll be with us next week. He's a former Pirate pitcher and, of course, went on to win a national championship his junior year at North Carolina Wesleyan with Mike Fox, who went on to North Carolina. He said his vote is first. He said, my vote for Jenkins and his first college 17-year-old. He's a 17-year-old, obviously. He debuts with a 5.2 innings of work on Saturday. But D. Lorenzo, 2 wins in 2 days. He says he's giving co-pitcher honors in his book, and that win on Saturday was huge to propel the win on Sunday.
Yeah, I think you got to give it to Di Lorenzo as the PGX Glove Pitcher of the week. 2 wins in 1 weekend is pretty damn hard to top. Jenkins, 17 years old, will have plenty more opportunities to win Pitcher of the Week. But you get 2 wins in 1 weekend. Di Lorenzo is PGX Gloves Pitcher of the Week. And then for Player of the Week, again, I think there's multiple candidates. I say Alex Boucher. I don't know if we want to make that official, but he had the game-winning home run. In game 3, he had multiple hits in game 2. So he would be my vote, but the Alex Porter. There are other people that candidates also. So what say you on the official PGX Glove Player of the Week, Dave?
Player of the Week, I'm going to go with Oh man, a guy that I would say honorable mention will go to Dixon Williams. I thought he was.
He was good.
I got to go honorable mention with him because his electricity on that field. I don't know if you noticed it, Kyle, but he was exactly what we need for this team. I know he's an upperclassman now, but he is just like fired up. Like it's
well, we need that. We need that leader on the field. We need the captain. But so you want to go with Dixon? What's going to be the official PGX Club Player of the Week? I say Boucher. You say Dixon. I know who did Paul Hill recommend?
Alex Peltier.
Okay, so I said Porter earlier. I meant to say Peltier.
Johnny Pruitt is for the pitcher. Peltier for help me out on pronunciation. I believe that's correct. Johnny Robertson. Let's see. We've got here. We got a lot of votes here. If we go by we'll say the fan vote. How about the fan vote?
Sure.
For Player of the Week, Dixon Williams. Les Brooks is saying he saved us in game 2. A win, and Florida says Dixon gets my vote. So the fan vote.
All right, well then the PGX Club Player of the Week by popular demand is Dixon Williams.
Yeah, we even have John White, former ECU pitcher in the Coach O days. He's got Dixon Williams. So I really thought he was definitely on my short list. And so the fans rule here. We appreciate you very much. We're not talking heads, believe it or not, and great to see a big crowd here tonight, but that's what you expect, right, Kyle?
And again, the baseball coverage, not that we're, doing a horrible job, at least I don't think, but the baseball coverage will improve. Bubba's doing his own thing this year for baseball, but we're going to have Coach Paul Hill joining us, former ECU baseball player, coach at D.H. Conley. Again, his credentials speak for themselves. So starting next week, Paul Hill Jr. will be bringing a lot of baseball knowledge to the broadcast each and every week.
Yeah.
Just so, further notice. It's not going to be me and Dave covering baseball all year. We're going to have a former Pirate baseball player, current coach, somebody that knows the game very well with Paul Hill joining us each and every week for the rest of the year.
Training.
Breaking down the game.
Yeah, and he's been training kids for over 40 years, including now my son, Alex. Alex wants to pitch, and so he's teaching Alex how to be a pitcher, and he is very thorough. I liked what he did, but certainly Justin says right here, well, hold on a second. I hit the wrong thing. My bad. If y'all need my umpire knowledge on y'all, he said, how about What is HMU? I
Check
should
it
know.
out. Hit me up. Hit me up.
Hit me up. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I haven't seen that one before. Hit me up. All right, Justin, we'll do that. Bear Bagley from Williamston, a dear friend of mine, his dad, George Bagley. Kyle, you remember Bagley's back in the day? Blair is, let me say this about Blair really fast.
Dave, I'm not getting a word of what you're saying, brother.
Can y'all still hear me on the stream? Because on my internet is actually tonight has been perfect. I don't know on my end. I don't know. It's usually can be spotty, but so if y'all can hear me, let me know in chat and the comments. But Blair Bagley, easy for me to say tonight, is someone who I think a lot of and admire and respect, and he helped me out. You remember Arnie Spanier? I've told this story before, but you know Arnie, right?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I know the story too. Yeah.
Okay. But Blair is the one that got the car for me because Arnie bet his car with his producer Dave Schutte. For those of you who remember back in the day when Arnie was on 94.3 and 98.3, and he was on there, and Blair actually helped us out a lot and got us the car. He painted purple and gold for us. Arnie helped me out. We bought the car. As a college kid, that was not easy. I think it was like we got it for $500. And Arnie gave me the money back, so thankfully. But we were at Professor Cool's. But Blair has always been great, and he always calls the 90s his glory time, the glory days. But we appreciate Blair's done so much for our community in Williamston, and miss having him. I'd love to have him back in Williamston. I know he's in the Greenville area, so at least we have him in Pirate Nation, obviously, and in Greenville as well in Pitt County. So. But anyway,
yeah, I'm sure Bear. Now I'm doing it. Blair has commented in the past on the show, and I'm sure I told the story. My mom had passed away a couple of years ago. My mom's favorite car of all time she bought from Blair. She bought a used Saab. I don't know.
I didn't know
Saab. What Saab? Yeah, she bought a used Saab from Blair. God, it was in the early '90s. And did not have it but maybe 2 months, and it got totaled, and it got hit by an 18-wheeler.
Oh man!
But Saabs are very well made. If she wasn't driving a late '80s model Saab, she probably would have been killed then or paralyzed. They were, I don't know if they still are, but at the time they were very solid made cars. But yeah, that was probably my mom's favorite car of all time. She loved that car. I only had it 2 months.
They don't make Saabs anymore, do they?
I have no idea. I have no idea if Saab's still a company. My guess is, I bet you I'm wrong I bet you I could be wrong on this, but I bet you if you look it up, I bet you Saab still exists as a company. I bet you they just don't sell them in America.
Okay, maybe that's the case.
I could be wrong on that. I could be completely wrong.
I'll look that up because that's going to drive me crazy if not.
Yeah, so we'll get back to you on if Saab's still available, but we'll talk some football notes, and then we're going to get into basketball a little bit. We lost our strength and conditioning coach to Maryland. He has to be replaced. He here only 1 year, did a pretty good job with special teams last year. Also, we lost our general manager after only being here a little over a month.
To LSU.
He left for LSU, so that position is open. And there's some other football news out there that we'll kind of keep to ourselves for now. If it becomes public or the university wants to make it public, we'll talk about it. But until then, we will keep it to ourselves.
Okay,
Dave, if you're not familiar with it, I'll tell you about it off the air.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not, but we'll talk later.
Yep.
So you want to talk for those of you that we were just talking about with basketball? Very impressive win yesterday. I was so excited for our Pirates. 15 wins on the season now. And they have a good chance to do well the last few games of the season, plus the conference tournament. And who knows where we go? But we'll take it literally like a coach would say. Coach, speak one game at a time. And Kyle,
yeah, and I'm going to say this, and we'll get into that Charlotte game and the UAB game. But let me go ahead and say this. If this team continues to play well and we finish strong, let's how many games we have left? 6. Let's say we win 4 more games. Get to 19 regular season wins, and then win a couple in the conference tournament. And I think we can win the conference tournament if we keep playing like we are and make the big dance. But I don't think if we, even with 21, 22 wins after the conference tournament, I don't think because what our strength of schedule will be, et cetera, 2 non-division one wins, I don't think we'll be in NIT contention. I know some people scoff at the CBI. I know we had a chance to go to CBI one year, and Gilbert turned it down.
Yep.
I would say this very strongly. Pirate Nation got very excited over a CIT championship back in 2013. If this team finishes strong, but don't win the conference tournament to make the big dance, and I don't see us getting an NIT bid, I'm going to tell the athletic department, John Gilbert, et cetera, and I think people need to get the word out now. You go to the CBI if you have the opportunity. You host games in Greenville, and that place will be packed. You don't turn down an opportunity to create excitement for Pirate basketball. I think it would be a stupid decision. And I'm just saying now, if we continue to play the way we are in the regular season and in the conference tournament, and we come up short and don't win the thing, I would take a CBI opportunity. I think we're pretty ignorant if we don't, and I hope John Gilbert and the rest of the athletic department will heed my advice, because I can guarantee you will see a sold out, or not. I won't guarantee a sellout unless we get deep in the tournament. But you'll see a packed Williams Arena Minji Coliseum for any and every home game we were to host in the CBI, particularly if we go make a deep run in the conference tournament. Don't kill the momentum.
We have 5 games left in the regular season, by the way, Kyle, and then we have however many we have in the tournament.
Well, let's say we win 3 of the 5, and that'll be 18 regular season wins, and then let's say we win 2 in the conference tournament. That's 20 wins. You continue play, go to the CBI and see if we can win a championship. I'm begging them now. Pirate Nation needs to be playing basketball in March, and I mean after the conference tournament. And again, I think we can win the conference tournament. I really don't see a team in this league that's significantly better than us, and that includes Memphis. So we just need to stay hot. 16-point win I believe that was our biggest margin of victory in American play in a league game. At least it was on the road. With a 16-point win at Charlotte yesterday, very impressive. RJ Felton and there was one point where RJ Felton could not miss a 3-pointer yesterday.
Yeah,
it was unreal. And then the win midweek against UAB. I second best team in the league. That was a fantastic win, and RJ Felton, CJ Walker, and then the Temple transfer. Ryan, is that his name? Because some of the Temple transfer. His game is really coming around to provide something else. Cam Hayes and some of those other guys, but I really think the Temple transfer has really added something to this team to help out CJ and RJ. And we got to continue to play this well, but I think this team is. You don't want to say we're peaking at the right time because we haven't gotten to the tournament play yet, but we are leaning to peaking at the right time. Like I say, a 16-point win on the road, and I know that Charlotte team isn't very good, but that was a packed house yesterday. They wanted that win bad, Charlotte. And dominant performance, and really we've played good basketball for better part of a month, with the exception of the Rice game. We lost to Temple on the road, but we played a great game. So we've been playing good basketball for several weeks now, with the exception of that Rice game.
Absolutely. And when the games we have left.
And by the way, 3 conference wins in a row. UTSA,
Raleigh,
UAB, and Charlotte. So we can see if we can get the 4th. But go ahead.
Guy says the Temple transfer is Jordan Riley. Thank you, Guy. I couldn't put my hands on
Riley, yes. He's playing really well right now too. RJ and CJ are getting a lot of the talk, but Riley has been playing really well too.
No doubt. And I tell you what, you were talking about that before about the CBI. I think that was a year with Dooley, one of his years, and they didn't.
Then we turned down the CBI invitation. We finished 500,
and we had.
I believe it was the year he made the decision to terminate Dooley.
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to go to the CBI, and it was turned down. And I would suggest, unless we just fall apart here at the end of the season, if we're 18, 19, 20, 21 wins, in this scenario, we don't win the conference tournament, we better accept the CBI invitation. Unfortunately, I don't think I think the only way the NIT comes on the table is if we win out the regular season and then make the conference championship game and don't win it. I think then maybe NIT could be in play.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem for us is our net, and that's going to play obviously a factor, which you were alluding to earlier, and so that's going to be strength of schedule. It comes down to is a situation where you have
games like North Alabama hurt you when you're trying to get like an NIT type bid.
Yep.
You go back and win a couple of those, and we could be in an NIT conversation. I think the only way we end up in an NIT conversation is if we win out and then make the conference championship game and lose it.
No doubt, and it'll be fun. We have our good friend down in New Orleans. We have Corey Galore. We'll have Tulane coming up. Is that Wednesday, I believe? Let me look that up. We're 15 and 11.
Yeah, Tulane is Tulane is one or two spots ahead of us in league play. We're trying to get into the top four of the league so we get that first round bye, and hopefully, God. I know the American ain't what it used to be in basketball, but just even to be in this conversation that we're trying to get in the top four in the league to get a first round bye in a conference tournament is uncharted territory. I mean, that's how bad Pirate basketball's been.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of, let me just say this, I'm not beating up on the administration, but you make a great point. That's exactly why I've said all along, Pirate basketball needs
your audio's cutting out on me, Dave, and your screen is frozen.
Yeah, I'm not having that. Tonight's hasn't been bad for me. I don't know what's going on, but can you guys still hear me? Because on my end, I haven't had any issues.
You're completely frozen, Dave.
Are you guys hearing me in the chat? If you can do that for me, because I'm on my end. I'm actually, Justin saying I'm good.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. It must be something on my end, but my audio is fine.
Yeah, Guy says he can hear me fine.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, well then I don't get it. Well, yeah, somebody said Kyle Redneck Internet. Well, my audio is fine, so I don't get it. It must be something with my upload speed versus my download speed.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so that very thing of basketball, just give it TLC. You have Schwartz. I really like him.
Let me turn off. I'm going to turn off my my Wi-Fi and just go to 5G and see how that does.
Okay. Maybe we can get that better. But anyway, I love basketball. I love East Carolina, period. And so my main thing is that the issue has always been for me. It has nothing to do with John Gilbert and Ryan Robinson. So hopefully they won't, if they get mad, they get mad. But my thing is just simply give it the love. You got your guy in, Michael Schwartz. I love Coach Schwartz. I've said that a million times. But the issue is not the coaching. The issue is the support from our university. And so we need to do more for basketball than we're doing. I'll keep saying that till I see thing, and maybe this is where things will get better. But Coach Schwartz deserves that. Like I said, personally, professionally, he's great. So I want to make it very clear that I'm not anti-Schwartz. Mike Schwartz has done a great job, and I feel like overall it has to do with support of the program. So anyway, should we pay for a postseason tourney if given the chance? Absolutely. Absolutely. Would we do it for football? Would we do it for baseball? I know it doesn't work that way. But of course we would. So we need to make basketball relevant. And the way you make it relevant is, Kyle, if you're just Justin had a question here. So I want to be fair to you so you'll know what I'm talking about. Should we pay for a postseason tourney if given the chance?
I talked about that at nauseam.
Yeah.
Just he must have asked that before we're talking about it. Yes, we will be unless we lose out, we will be given the opportunity to play in the CBI.
Yeah.
So yes, we should take that opportunity. Like I said, we got excited about a CIT championship. CBI is a bigger tournament than CIT, and being a team from the American, I think we minimum we get to 18 wins. Particularly with the conference tournament. Unless we just fall apart. So if we're between 18 and 21 wins, yes, you definitely take a CBI invitation. Absolutely.
You know why else you do it? RJ Felton, he's a senior.
Not only seniors, for the young guys to create momentum, the fan base, and we're not going to lose money on it. We will. when we got in the CIT, as we got deeper in that tournament, if you remember the semifinals, we hosted the semifinals. Finals were on the road at Weber State, but we sold out the semifinals. It was packed. I was there. That so it was a great atmosphere and a great night. So
yeah, we had a question about doesn't the American? Oh, sorry, it moved up on me. Doesn't the AAC, the American, frown upon playing in certain tourneys?
CIT, yes, CIT. That's why I keep saying CBI would be our opportunity. You are not allowed, or they encourage you not to participate in the CIT. The CBI is on the other hand is perfectly acceptable.
And I put up there CBI and NIT are fine. Obviously, we're going to go to the big dance. That's obvious.
Yeah, and you obviously NIT, you wouldn't turn that down. But for East Carolina basketball, that'd be a milestone. But yes, it's the CIT that the American frowns upon, not the CBI. The CIT was started up. What it was supposed to be a tournament for mid majors and low majors, and the CBI is not. The CBI's had ACC teams, Big Ten teams, et cetera, participate in it over the year. Big East teams. Yeah, if that opportunity presents itself, and I think it will, we definitely need to play in it.
And it's not the same when I say this, but for bowl games, the biggest reason you play a bowl game, not only for your fans, but obviously for those practices. We'll think about in similar ways, the reason why we play a CBI NIT is because you get extra practices. You get a chance for that team to win more and reward the seniors. Also, you reward the younger guys. Talk about the experience they get, like you said, Kyle. So, yes.
Well, I don't think anybody would question NIT. We're not, Duke, but I don't think we're in position to question the CBI. I mean, come on, give me a break. One of the worst basketball programs historically in America.
Yep.
So yeah, it would. If you go look at the teams who have won the CBI over the. In fact, I can give you a good example. Butler, when their program got red hot, when they were in the Missouri Valley just before their Big East turn, when that program got red hot. Actually, I think they went to the A10 briefly before the Big East, but they were still Missouri Valley at this time. Their program got hot. That was coming off the year they made the Final Four for the first time. They were coming off a CBI championship.
There you go. So, again, I have no issues with it because, again, you look at our volleyball team. They've had two. What is that? NVIT.
If you're going to take that, which I know that's supposed to be the equivalent of the NIT for volleyball, but if you're going to do that, you definitely take a CBI for basketball. And,
right. I'm just talking about they had never had any kind of postseason tournament ever in the history of our volleyball program. And now we've had 2 years in a row. I'm just bragging about our volleyball program who back in the day when there were times we only may win 4 games the whole year. And the fact we won a game, we would get excited, right? And so they've come a long ways. And the same with this basketball program. Certainly, this is you got to strike while the iron's hot. You got a lot of fans that are really paying attention to basketball now. And certainly we'll see how it goes. But certainly with basketball and baseball, it's overlapping. So we talk about that. And we talked about before, get your I renewed my Pirates football tickets, by the way. Make sure you do that 1-800-ECU or ECUPirates.com. You can go in there and re-up your tickets. Let's give Blake Harrell a very, very good fan base to do that. It's going to be a great schedule. We'll be talking more about that obviously in the summertime, and maybe it's around the spring game, that's April the 27th or 8th, 27th.
That's late. Yeah, I believe the 27th is the correct date.
Yeah, 27th.
27th or 26th.
Yeah, so we're let's see. Yeah, that sounds right. So anyway, it's coming up after it's usually around my birthday, the way they've had it the last few years under Coach Houston. So anyway, hey, I love it. I love the fact that we can have football at the end of April, along with the NFL draft. That'll be fantastic for that weekend. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. By the way, want to mention a couple things, Kyle, before we're at the hour mark. So put your let's do last call for questions and comments. And the question, we try really hard, if you know, to keep the shows right at an hour, or maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. But Kyle, I got the Atari 7800. So for you gamers out there, And Kyle, I love retro games, especially, but games in general. But Kyle gave me his list of 7800. It's reverse compatible, so I can play the Atari 2600 cartridges I have.
Yeah, 7800. I mean, not to become the video game objective, but 7800 Plus is out there. 7800 was a great system. Got dominated by Nintendo and the Sega Master System back in the late 80s, but it was Atari's competition to Nintendo. Very small library, but it was backwards compatible with the Atari 2600. And Dave recently picked up the 7800. And yeah, it's a lot of great games for a lot of good arcade ports, a lot of good homebrews, which Dave, I only gave you one of those, but
Yeah.
I think yours came with one with Bentley Bear.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of that would be so that would be more recent that they made that?
That's a homebrew, yeah. That's what that is. It's a side scroller, Mario Brothers type game.
Yeah.
Bentley Bear was, if you remember the arcade classic Crystal Castles.
Yeah.
That Bentley Bear is a character from that game. And so, yeah, that's a homebrew. Made by a very talented guy. I can't think of his name right now, but our listeners don't necessarily want to hear about this. I'm not sure why you brought it up. Were you going somewhere with that?
Yeah, I was just mentioning, I was going to ask, there's a couple more things I have non-ECU baseball or sports related, and that was one of them. Do you have anyone do you guys have a favorite video game of all time, or do you have like a Mount Rushmore of a few games? We were talking about that this afternoon. Galaga is definitely one of my all-time favorite games. I could get more. I'm not going to bore you with that, but I'll just leave it at that I played it a lot this afternoon. But do you have a favorite, Kyle, or one that maybe a sentimental favorite?
I mean, there's several. I mean, you go back to old school arcade games, NES games, and Atari games. I mean, Galaga's a great game. Miss Pac-Man is another arcade classic. Cubert, one I always had a fondness for. If we're talking old school arcade, there's so many. Double Dragon was another one I always loved. I could go on and just Donkey, the original Donkey. I could name 80s and early 90s classic video games. I could just keep going.
And it's the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. Do you have a favorite sketch? I'm doing like a rapid fire. We'll get back to
favorite Saturday Night Live sketch. Oh man, I loved a lot of Adam Sandler stuff in the 90s. Lunchroom Lady. I loved his stuff on Weekend Update where he would sing.
Oh yeah.
Loved Mike Myers. Well, my name is Simon. Yeah.
And I like to do drawings.
Drawings. Several Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy.
Oh yeah. He was a writer on SNL.
Toot Sister Driving Cat.
That was awesome.
There's just several Saturday Night Live skits I love.
Yeah, for me, one of my favorites recently that I've watched a few times. So I love, obviously, I'm a huge fan of Chris Farley. I loved him, and I love his.
Oh yeah, the motivational speaker.
Yeah, but when he did the Chippendales audition with Patrick
Swayze, yeah, that's great.
That is one of my all-time favorite. I love all the stuff, original cast, obviously. I'm a huge fan of. I love Phil Hartman. You mentioned that group in the late 80s, early 90s was my high school, college years. So those were big. Lauren Michaels says whatever your the group or the cast was during your high school years is probably your favorite cast because he gets that.
I'm gonna go with kind of the one from my middle school years, kind of the same as you. Early to mid 90s. That was kind of my favorite. Adam Sandler, Mike Myers, David Spade. Yeah, kind of from I guess it would have been from about 90, 91 till about 96, I think was my favorite era of SNL.
And that was more the time you were a teenager, right? Off the top of my head.
Well,
right?
more middle school.
Yeah.
I would have been early high school, 95, 96.
Yeah, but Eddie Murphy, that group that came right after the original cast, there was like 3 years that, my dad was I'll say this really fast, we'll get back to, I promise. My dad was a fan of the original cast of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray.
I'm not going to lie and tell you that I remember when they originally were on, but they used to do syndication, and the early 80s. And so that's where I fell in love with that cast. But my favorite cast probably sentimentally would be, I would say sentimentally would be the Eddie Murphy era with Joe Piscopo and that crowd. But
yeah, probably one of the worst eras of Saturday Night Live, or the era right after that, actually. But there was some good stuff, obviously, with Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that era with Phil Hartman and Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, all that crowd, Jan Hooks, we could go on and on. But anyway, I love that for sure. But thank you guys for letting me talk about that. I'm a huge SNL fan, especially early SNL for sure. What else do you have, Kyle? We got some more. I did have one of this. A guy wants to know any comments about R1 status.
I think it's good for the university. I mean, to be considered a tier 1 research university is, certainly no negative status. I really don't know how much academics play anymore into conference realignment. I really don't think very much. But it's certainly a good thing for the university.
Well, here's the thing. There was two things we haven't said a lot about Chancellor Rogers. I like him a lot. He really gets his dad, of course, Greg Rogers, who I think the world of, was at Oakmont Baptist for many years for the people in Greenville. I got a chance to know Greg as a pastor, and he was a wonderful man. I haven't seen him in a while. I'm not saying he's passed away, but obviously not. But anyway, Chancellor Rogers knows Greenville. He knows a lot about ECU. The two biggies for him was that very thing of R1 status. And the other thing was the two big objectives he has when he came on board was that and the endowment. And let me just say this, by the way, Kyle, I'm not going to go on a tangent on this academically, but our endowment is embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. There are smaller universities, I'm talking about really small universities in North Carolina that are bigger, have bigger endowments than ours. And so that's a challenge for our fan base and for graduates and alums. We've got to do better. I'm not criticizing our folks. Don't misunderstand me. That's just a challenge. I want people to know that, just like Kyle is misunderstood. So I know him extremely well, and people joke and they think that some people think that we're like enemies almost. We are both passionate, and there's times we disagree, but guess what? Kyle's like a brother for me. He's got my back. I've got his back. And guess what? We're very passionate people. We love the Pirates. And that's just something. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I won't say his name, and Kyle knows him. He and I were talking off the air. He looked it up, and he was rattling off all these small universities. I don't even know. I know we're not in the top 5. I don't even think we're in the top 10 in North Carolina with endowments. I'm not talking about the universities that, have the pedigree and they have like 5 bajillion, like they've been around for 200 or 300 years. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about North Carolina. We need to at least be in the top 10 and eventually top 5. I'd love to be number 1. That's going to be hard with the University of North Carolina, Duke, NC State, those 3 in particular triangle schools. But anyway, that's not a knock on our university. That's just I'm trying to speak on behalf of the chancellor, even though I know that's something he's extremely passionate about. And I'm grateful that he brought that up. I didn't know that until he came aboard. So that's something that he's got one out of the 2 big things he wants. And the research thing is big. And now
it's going to provide a lot more opportunities to get grants, et cetera, to get different research projects, for medical funding, stuff like that. Being a tier 1 school, only good things will come from it.
We have the new Brody Medical School that'll be coming up. They're going to be building that in the next few years. So that's a really big thing for ECU, and obviously that's my day job. So I'm very proud of that. Very proud of the work that East Carolina does with the School of Medicine, for sure. But anyway, we'll have to save that for a later date, and certainly we'll try to see if we can get Chancellor Rogers on, especially in the summertime after baseball season. We'll try to see if we can get him on and be able to talk to him for a while and talk to him about his, speaking of objectives, the ECU objectives, and we would love to have him on, and we'll do that for sure. Kyle, do you have anything before we get out of here? Is there anybody have any more questions or comments real quick?
No, big week ahead for the Pirates. You got Tulane in basketball. You got a big week with baseball, Campbell and Carolina. And next Sunday night, we'll be back with extra innings. And hopefully, Coach Paul Hill will be joining us starting next weekend.
All right, John White. He'll let him be the last call, the last comment. Baseball commentary about the young 17-year-old pitcher Jenkins. Great job not going more south and first with the error and some unearned runs. He is as advertised. He will have to tighten up how he holds runners on base. He will get run on easily if he doesn't work hard on that. And that's coming from a great pitcher and a friend of the show, John White, who knows more about pitching than I will ever know, and pitch for Coach O. I believe, was that in the 90s, John? You were right there before. John was right there before me, I believe, off the top of my head. I graduated in 95, but I think he graduated a few years before me. But John is definitely an expert, and I know he's very humble, but one of the best we've ever had, and certainly did a great job for Coach O. We'd love to have Coach O on for sure. There we go. I couldn't remember the years. Thank you, John. He was 88 to 91, and that's why John was right there before I got to East Carolina. So I hate that there's a lot of pitchers like John and a lot of players like John, and John Gass is another one. That 90 team is one of the best teams we ever had in the history of ECU baseball. And I hate that was right before I got there to be able to enjoy that. But anyway, John, thank you for all you did for the program, and we appreciate you being a contributor here. You and a lot of the guys, a lot of the people that do that every single week. So anyway, we're going to be with you next Sunday nights. And like Kyle said, not to repeat what he said, but we will have Paul Hill Jr., and we're very excited to have him as part of our extra innings coverage, and he has been great for us as well. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and really proud of this program going 2-1 this week. Predictions, Kyle, what do you think? How the 4 games, how many are we going to win this week?
I'll say 2-2. I'll say we beat Campbell, take one from Carolina. 2-2 for the week in baseball.
Man, we agree on. We'll definitely have to end the show right now. That's exactly what I was going to say. 2-2. I hope that Kyle and I are wrong, but I'm going 2-2 on the week, and that with Carolina, as good as Carolina, I think Carolina is this year. That we'll see. We beat them last year in the series, but we'll see how we play. But if that's the case, don't be upset. As much as we don't like the Tar Heels, don't be upset.
No, they just swept Texas Tech.
Yeah, exactly. Enough said. All right, we'll get out of here. We'll be back with you again next Sunday night. And as always, enjoy your week. Let's have a great week for Pirate Baseball. It's Extra Innings brought to you by PGX Gloves, and it's right here on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching the Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates. You're watching the Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.